Hello, boys.
We must instil a love of culture in our young, the Prime Minister has announced. We must foster an appreciation of the fine arts like opera, the ballet, classical music and painting. And we should drag the children kicking and screaming to see it whether they want to or not. Which they won't. They'll sit there with their arms folded, falling asleep, dreaming of level 7 on the video game torture and slaughter. What's the point? If they want to see high art, they'll seek it out. Forcing it on them is guaranteed to make them hate it. And what sum of money has been earmarked for this introduction to culture? How much has been set aside for ballet and opera tickets, exhibition entries and classical recitals? £15 per student. MPs don't pay for their own tickets much, do they? They wouldn't get a programme and a choc ice in the West End for that. No, better to teach them the value of competitive team games, like football. It's the national sport, the beautiful game. The professionals locked in battle on the pitch, and after, photographing each other on their mobiles as they gang-satisfy a queue of willing girls in fancy hotel rooms. But it's not the latter that's concerning the Football Association, nor the peeing on nightclub dance floors or the après-bar thumping handed out to members of the poorer public. No, it's bad language on the field of play that they want to stamp out. From the start of next season, in 20 leagues, you will be shown an instant red card for swearing on the pitch. We must lead by example and protect the delicate sensibilities of the football supporters, they say. Either the FA is deaf, or they've never been to a football match, because in a face-off of competitive swearing, your average soccer crowd could outscore the building trade, and they're really rude. I'd expect an avalanche of effing and blinding as their team gets sent off one by one, until, with an hour left to play, the crowd is left staring at an empty field. The ref would be left playing with himself, which, coincidentally, is the basis for many a football chant. 0845 6060 973. There's a lot of interesting stuff in the newspapers today. The mayoral candidates set out their plans, and I decided who I'm going to vote for. I finally made a decision. I'm not going to write underneath their names, none of the above, or is that the best you can do? And I'm not going to, vote for the monster raving loony party, assuming they throw a candidate at us. I know who I'm going to vote for now, so I might get to that. The Times, unbeknownst to me, being a right-thinking person, I don't spend much time reading the Times, but they've been doing a list of Britain's greatest follies, among which is spam. Now, I've only recently come back to eating meat, and I dip my toe delicately on the red end of the scale. Pork and chicken, that's fine. Beef, that's it's like the heroin of meat. I'm on about 3 steaks a day now, man. But spam is a step too far. There, I will not go. I don't even know what it is. I challenge anybody to tell me what spam is actually made of. Do they still make it? Spam. Just the name of it. Spam, 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 spam. Spam, 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 spam. And you say it too many times, and it's one of those words that it almost immediately becomes meaningless and comical. And it's not just Monty Python that did it. So I might do that too. Paul McCartney. Paul and Linda McCartney. I'll get one of these away now, rather than just to tell you what I'm gonna. Look, I'm gonna. I'll do one. Angry Sir Paul McCartney told his lawyer to offer Heather Mills £30 million to get her off my back, it was claimed yesterday, which is a bizarre position to be in. The order came as he was walking to lunch with the £500 an hour illegal eagle, Fiona Shackleton. 500 quid an hour? What are we doing, wasting our time here? We could be legal eagles. He was overheard by stunned Mike Pritchard leaving London's Royal Courts of Justice, who, at the same time. Mike, 59, from Cardiff, said, "I'd been at another case. I was about a yard behind him. He was very irate and told his lawyer, offer her £30 million to get her off my back." Don't you think that he would be disinclined to make comments like that in public? He shouted about it as he leaves the court. That's the sort of thing you want to write down, mate. His lawyer replied, "We'll have to see about that later." Just trying to hush him up, probably. "I couldn't believe that I'd seen him or what I'd overheard," he said. Paul then took a call on his mobile and then got into their car and they were driven off. He said, Paul, 65, suggested the deal on Monday, day one of his High Court divorce battle with the 40-year-old Heather, his estranged wife. The one-legged blonde. This is the son. Why do they keep having to bring that up? Plus the colour of her hair as well. Like that. I noticed they didn't say what colour Paul's hair was. Only the one-legged blonde's hair colour. Like that makes the slightest bit of difference. The one-legged blonde, dubbed Lady Mucker because of her sordid past as a porn model, is said to have been after his £100 million chunkers of his estimated £825 million fortune. Her sordid past as a porn model. That's right, the Sun disapproves of pornography. With that, they will not put up. That's about the worst constructed sentence I've ever uttered, or that's been uttered in the history of human discourse. With that, they will not put up. Is that right?
No.
No, I didn't think so, no. Not even close. But what I like the best about this story is of the crowd outside. And in much the same way that, say everybody gets a picture of, Kylie Minogue, for instance, and all the papers have got her in a little dress, with a nice smile on. The Guardian or the Independent will flip it around and take a picture of the paparazzi taking a picture of Kylie Minogue. So they'll just have the Kylie Minogue's back, and the picture will be of the insanity that's going on around her, which is a more interesting picture, I think. Well, here, the Sun is giving us a little taste of not what Paul and Macca and Mucker are doing. Macca and Mucker. There's actual grown-ups who are paid to dream this stuff up, can you believe it? But here they give us a taste of the people that have gone to see this. Of course, they can't get in because it's being held in camera, which is a legal term which means that no cameras are allowed. That I don't understand. If it's in complete secrecy, they call it in camera. Is that Latin? Here's their description of some of the people outside. A chorus of boos erupted outside the High Court yesterday as Macca's fans branded Mucker the cow of this particular pantomime. Bitch! Yelled Kelly Hutchinson, 44, from Bethnal Green, East London, mate. As Heather's 4x4 rumbled away, others flashed two fingers. Furiously. Like that. Bitch! Like that. Earlier they shouted, "We love you, Paul," as he strolled to his car. Oh, I'm sure he loves that, yeah. He's been having people shout stuff like that at him for the last, how old is he, 65, 40 years. It means very much to him, yeah. Gladdens his little heart, I bet. Beatles fan Dorothy Mortiboys, 60, and her husband Les, 59, from Devon, brought their 14-year-old granddaughter with them for the day.
What?
From Devon. Kelly, who attends the Princess Diana inquest in the morning and supports Sir Paul in the afternoon, said his fans show him more loyalty than Heather ever could. Heather ever could. Did I get that right? Heather ever could. You know Heather ever could. Oh, she was great. Imagine coming all the way from, from Bethnal Green is one thing, but from Devon, that's just bizarre. But to come all the way from Bethnal Green, just go, bitch! Flip up the finger as she goes by in her blacked-out windowed 4x4. That's borderline crazy. And there's so many people out there like that. Not just crossing the street to say it. Crossing town. Bitch! Like that's going to make the slightest difference to anybody's life. These people are out of their minds. And they're all appearing on the Jeremy Kyle show. I bet if you threw a net over that crowd, they'd look exactly like the people on stage at Jeremy Vile. One of which has pointed a gun at the other. A man pointed a loaded air rifle at his wife's head after discovering on the Jeremy Kyle show that he was not the father of her child. Craig Platt, 27, threatened his wife Jane just a week after the couple appeared on the popular daytime show to find out the paternity of the 7-month-old baby that they were raising together. Why the hell would they do that? Well, why would anybody think that that was a good idea? Every time I flip by that show, it's the same thing. We'll do a DNA test to see if you are the father of the child. I want them to do a DNA test to see if she's the mother. Yesterday in court, Platt admitted possessing a firearm with intent to cause fear of violence. He will serve at least 18 months in jail before being eligible for parole. Guess what? The couple have since reconciled and are hoping to live together as a family. Ah, the Addams family. 7:45. Travel on LBC now with Amanda Redmond.
Well, still watching these...
What's one of the biggest challenges faced by business professionals? Leaving work on time. At the end of the day, you're stuck at the office because everything you need is on your computer. That's why you need GoToMyPC, because with GoToMyPC, you have secure access to everything on your PC. GoToMyPC automatically downloads, and within seconds you have access to your Office desktop, so you can work with all your files, emails, programs, even your network. So you get home at a decent hour. Not a dreadful one. GoToMyPC has won the world-class award for remote access from US magazine PC World 4 years in a row. And now you can try it for yourself with a 30-day free trial. Just visit gotomypc.co.uk, click the Try It Free button and use promo code LBC. That's gotomypc.co.uk, Try It Free button, promo code LBC. Access your PC from anywhere. Try GoToMyPC free today. Conditions apply.
Well, let's get back to it.
0845 6060 973. If you would like to pass on what you think the greatest mistake in British history was. Now, I'd like to err on the side of jollity, so you could say World War I, but that we wouldn't get many laughs out of that. We could try, could squeeze it like a dry sponge, but I doubt it. This is about the Times. Sorry, but it's all been a huge mistake, is the headline. The loss of the bowler or the appeasement of Hitler, Times readers have been debating Britain's greatest follies. So as I read this, if you'd like to think up your own and give us a tinkle, and then hilarity will ensue. Or something approximating it. The number's 0845 6060 973. According to George Bernard Shaw, a life spent in making mistakes is not only more honourable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. It's certainly more likely to confer immortality, no matter how inglorious. Blimey, there's a lot of long words in there. For the past week, tens of thousands of Times readers have been furiously debating the greatest mistake in British history at Comment Central on the Times online website. Maybe this is why I didn't see it. Times is one of those papers that I skim through. It's got an odd shape about it. For the size of it is, I just don't like it. I mean, I think a broadsheet should be a broadsheet, and I think it's a great shame that they're not larger papers anymore. I know they're more difficult to turn over when you're standing up on the tube, but there's something deeply satisfying about whipping the Telegraph so that you get it, so you turn the page successfully. You feel almost it's bordering on a sexual sensation when you get it right. Of course, often you get it wrong, and it screws itself up in the middle, and you have to pull on one end and sort it out, and then you look like a dope. As though you're reading a newspaper for the very first look at that bloke. You can't even turn the page. But sometimes you get it right, and it's like, oh, sweet release. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Britain's greatest mistake. I'll tell you what mine is. Not having the Routemaster bus anymore. I'm still very upset about that. Every time I see a bus, I can't get over it, because the ones with the electric doors at the front, they're just not the same. That's not a London bus. That's a Bristol bus, that is. Or Edinburgh, or somewhere else. It's not us. And I'll never forgive Ken for that. I mean, perhaps if it weren't him in that position, somebody else would have done it anyway. Because I know, apparently, they're a nightmare to drive. But you know what? Just build one on a modern chassis, put modern controls in the driver's cockpit. Cockpit? Cabin. That's worse.
Cab.
Cab, that's right. Give him automatic everything. And just bang sheet metal into the shape of an old bus. That's all you need. Paint it the right colour. And Bob's your uncle. But oh no, we can't have that. We'll take a London bus and we'll saw the top off it and hook it on the back. Because that makes great sense, doesn't it?
No.
No. Anyway, to continue, for the past week, tens of thousands of readers have been furiously debating what was Britain's greatest mistake. So that's mine. I'm going to make a list. Oh, groans in the back. Oh, God, not another list. Shut up. Route Master Bus. Right. I've written that down. Raj is furious with me. They included our failure to annex or otherwise take over Canada. Hey, wouldn't that be great if we owned Canada rather than them just half of them sharing a language with us? Then we'd really be dangerous, wouldn't we? We'd have maple syrup, and I give in. What does Canada do? Oil?
Mooses.
Oh yeah, mooses. Yeah, we could have mooses loose about our houses.
So surely the biggest mistake ever is going to be the tea tax on the Americans.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, we irritated them to the point that they started throwing
tea overboard and kicking us out.
That's right. The tea tax. I'll write that down.
So we lost North America.
Yeah, we lost North America. Yes, which was a very great mistake. Yes. All right. These are the greatest mistakes in human history: Route Master Bus and the tea tax on the Yanks. If you've got any of your own, by the way, if there is anybody... Hello? Is there anybody out there? Britain's greatest mistake. Or I'll just, give up and whistle. 0845 6060 973. Sometimes you have to... it's like an avalanche. You push the first one, and then all the rest follow, but nobody wants to be first. In much the same way as you, the school. You didn't want to be first with your hand up. Oh, sir, me, sir, because you might be wrong, and then you'd be labelled stupid, and you'd have the chalkboard duster flying at you, 50 miles an hour. That's how we used to deal discipline in my... it were grand when I were a lad. Suggestions reached across thousands of years. They ranged from policy. Graham Stewart proposed the creation of comprehensive schools. To affairs of the heart, William Rees-Moggs, Edward VIII falling in love with Mrs. Simpson. Oh, come on, that's just daft. How is that possibly Britain's greatest mistake? Oh, silly man. Then there's the patriotic chauvinists. One declared, Britain has never made a mistake. It's not our fault that the rest of the world has never got anything right. Well, you know what? It's absolutely correct. Inevitably, a sense of frivolity creeps into several posts. One chap said, spam fritters, served on Wednesdays at my now long-defunct grammar school. And there was a certain aroma that came with the spam fritters which didn't endear them to you or make you want to eat them. The look of them was pretty repellent as well. And as for the taste, don't even get me started. So that's the sight, the smell and the taste. Apart from that, super. I love the taste of spam fritters in the morning. Tastes a bit like chicken. Actually, it doesn't taste like chicken at all. What's in them? Anybody got any... that's a genuine question now. What constitutes a spam fritter? Just the name fritter. I mean, never mind about spam. It's repellent. I'll have the spam fritter followed by brains faggots.
Oh, we had a call from John. Apparently spam means spiced ham.
Ah.
And it was American.
Right. Ham, eh? Stonehenge, said one. What? Stonehenge began the British propensity for noble efforts that ultimately accomplish little and aren't as impressive as other nations' extravagant follies. For example, the pyramids. Hey, you might have something there. More eclectic proposals for the greatest mistake in British history are abandoning the bowler hat. You know, it's interesting, if you see pictures from, the 50s backwards, of a crowd, everybody in that crowd is wearing a hat. Everyone. You see a picture of a crowd now, no one's wearing a hat. The only hat that people wear now are baseball hats. Which is bizarre, because we don't like that sport. There's nothing likeable about it. It's the world's most interesting sport.
Boring.
Could there be a more boring sport? But we love that hat. So here's the list that they have so far. The bowler hat. This is the greatest mistakes in British history. The demise of the bowler hat. Chamberlain and his piece of paper in 1938 which announced the appeasement of Hitler. I have a piece of paper in my hand. I might as well use it in the toilet. Brian Clough, whose absence from the England manager's bench was a disaster, according to one contributor. The bombing of Dresden. There's nothing really funny about that. Thatcher said one. Not Margaret, mind. Or Mrs. Just Thatcher. It's one of those words that you spit with fury, don't you? Maggie, Maggie, Maggie. It was the only time that anybody used her first name. You know, people with leftist tendencies. People who weren't putting champagne on their cornflakes. Thatcher. Spam fritters, they're in there at number 6, with a bullet. Benny Hill. Oh, come on, that's not a great British mistake. He's a great British institution. He should be in one. Comprehensive schools and Stonehenge, as previously described. If you've got your own, 0845 6060 973. This is LBC 97.3.
Morning, Bob. It's Gordon.
Tomorrow on Nick's show, is there anything worth loving about the bendy bus? Will Hillary's attack ad hurt Obama? Will Hillary's attack ad hurt Obama? Will Hillary's attack ad hurt Obama? Should prisoners be given the option to try a low-carb diet? And should we encourage our ex-service personnel to become teachers? It's with Nick Ferrari as he tackles the topics of the day tomorrow from 7 a.m. on LBC. Where at the moment I'm constructing a list of Britain's greatest mistakes. That's not necessarily the only thing I want to talk about tonight, so if there's something on your mind, then go ahead and give us a tinkle. It's 0845 6060 973. Bendy buses have actually come up in the news today. You may have read about that. So have parking tickets. So have the teaching of, or so has rather, the teaching of culture in our schools. And I mentioned that already. I might talk about that some more. Swearing on the football pitch. That was also in the news today. MPs' foreign trips. They have their little fat faces in the trough and their snarfing this stuff up. I want you to look up snarfing for me, just to make sure that I use that word in the correct way. First call, Mayfair, Anne-Marie.
Hello, Nick.
Anne-Marie.
Hi there.
How are you?
Speaking about people having their noses in the trough,
Yeah.
I think our biggest mistake was getting too deeply involved in Europe. I mean, we send over, people go over there, shall we say, and they get paid by us to snorkel around in Brussels or wherever.
Snortle?
Well.
Oh, I like it.
And they're sort of on the gravy train. I mean, look at certain Wilf Windbag and his family, for example. And
what does he do now? What does he do now? You're talking about.
I don't know what he does, but his wife's heavily involved over there still, and I think his son is as well.
The Welsh surfing expert.
That's right, yeah. And I mean, if we hadn't gone too deeply into Europe, our borders wouldn't be open to all kinds of nasties. We wouldn't be having our laws dictated. I think it would have been much better if Heath had suddenly had a brainstorm and said, no, we ain't playing.
So I'll put capitulation to Europe.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Anne.
Okay.
Cheers, minute, try. 0845 6060 973. Britain's greatest mistakes. Now, they don't have to be serious. In fact, I'd prefer if they weren't. Because serious would include, every war that we've ever fought in, including the present one, which is part 2 of the previous one. And then there were the 2 big ones, and all the little skirmishes in between. War is stupid. I think Boy George said that. And, no less an expert than him, I wouldn't argue with. So far, I've got the demise of the Routemaster bus, the T-tax on the Yanks. Without that, we might... there was the tax, and without the tax, there wouldn't be any point in owning America because, I mean, I know we've got problems, but so do they, and they have many more of them. So it would only be useful if we could tax them. And they spat the dummy when we tried to tax their tea, and they didn't even drink tea. So I think that's one of the reasons that they don't drink tea, isn't it? Because it would be considered traitorous. Brains faggots, just the name of them. I mean, who would choose going around a supermarket to pick up something called brains faggots? I mean, you got and look at the picture on the box, serving suggestion, and thought, so yummy. What's for dinner, Mum? So that's what I got so far, and capitulation to Europe. And I'll make a list, assuming that you care one way or the other. Peckham, hello, Tony.
Hiya.
Tony.
Yes. I think the biggest mistakes we've made in this country, abolishing capital punishment and abolishing the sus laws, and on a lighter note, electing Ken Livingstone as mayor. I honestly believe, I mean, I'm an oldish person, I'm, in my 60s, I honestly believe that if some of these people that commit these, various gun murders, crimes, whatever, if a few of them were topped, I think most of them would think twice about going out and doing harm to people. I mean, it's like, those three thugs that kicked that guy to death.
Yeah. But you know what? It wouldn't
they'll be out in a few years.
Tony, it wouldn't make the slightest bit of difference, because when you are in the act of killing someone, you're not thinking that you're going to get caught. That's why you're doing it.
Well, I don't know. I think that half the people these days, they think that if they do kill someone, they're going to get, 5, 8 years, 10 years, and then they'll be out.
No, they're not. They're not. Honestly, mate, they are not thinking that at the time. They're not weighing it up because they're out of their minds on testosterone or beer or whatever it might be. You're not making conscious decisions about what your actions will, what punishment will be dealt to you. You're just not, and so the punishment could be we'll chop you up into little pieces from your feet upwards, and will force you to eat yourself until you die. I mean, you could imagine any kind of awful punishment. It wouldn't make the slightest difference because no one's thinking about that as they're committing the crime.
I was brought up in the 50s and 60s at the times of Teddy Boys and this, that, and the other, and people knew that if they were going to go out with a knife or whatever, they were going to use it. And if they used it, got caught, I can cite cases of policemen being shot, this, that, and the other, and they were topped. And I tell you what, we had half, less than half, we had a tenth of the violence in the 50s and 60s that we've got today. And I
don't think that that's necessarily true. I mean, it's reported less because the speed of information was information technology was much more slow than it is today.
We did have radios and newspapers and TVs in the 50s and 60s,
Well, yeah, but I know that, but my point stands.
Well, I honestly think, and I thought, I mean, my wife and I used to argue about this for years. She was always against it.
Right.
And I'm not saying...
When will you ever listen, Tony?
Anyway, I've got it off my chest.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, mate.
And I think that's partly what it is. People want the death penalty back just to deal out a bit of vengeance, justice. Those people who travel across town and across country to shout, bitch, to Heather McCartney and give her the finger, those are the people that would be queuing up to see people, as Tony said, topped. Which I'm not sure as how the government would put it, but that's the basic idea. Wouldn't make the slightest bit of difference, I don't believe. I mean, you could make it so the punishment would be witches with giant teeth will eat your feet, and still people would do it because they're not thinking of getting caught as they're doing it. It's 0845 6060 973. Snarfle. I can't remember how I used it now. I think it was the MPs with their face in the trough, snarfling the well, the money is what it is, really, isn't it? And apparently snarfle is an actual verb. You believe that? To snarfle. To make the noise of an animal eating, or to eat greedily. I can't believe I got something right. So the list so far: the demise of the Routemaster bus, the tea tax on the Yanks, brains, faggots, capitulation to Europe, Ken Livingstone, and abolishing the death penalty. I'm not going to edit this list. I'm just going to write it down as it comes in. This isn't my list. This is your list. Catford, Trixie.
Advert coming up.
Stop checking your watch.
I'm not. I've got my computer here.
Oh.
I would love to snarfle some brains, faggots.
Hey, who's been snarfling rolls that have got cinnamon? Not cinnamon. Look, that are covered in poppy seeds.
Not me. Somebody there has, obviously.
Yeah, there's always poppy seeds all over this desk. I'm sure that poppy seeds and
it's Alex's fault. I'm sure of it.
And highly expensive mixing desks don't mix.
No.
Who eats buns with poppy seeds all over? They're always scattered all over the place.
Yeah,
who is that?
Very, very tiny little.
This desk needs a Hoover.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I actually agreed with the last caller to an extent, because some murders are cold-blooded. Some, but we won't go into that. I do have, what I want to say. I do have something to add to your list, which I'm not happy about. I hate lists. I wish that Britain, the biggest mistake was that Britain found America and exported our beautiful language and our history there. If we hadn't done that, we wouldn't have blooming America. That's what I think. What do you think?
You're objecting to America?
Because they nicked our language and our history, and they're then they send us our history in movies and things. Sure, they've ruined our language.
That's absolute nonsense. No, they haven't. They absolutely have not. They use it in a much more
light-hearted ones.
They use it in a much more colourful and entertaining way than the uptight, stuck-up Brits do. Australians turn it up even louder. Australians use the English language in a laugh-out-loud, hilarious way. I mean, it's all back down to. The example is one I used the other day. In America. If they want you to arrest your forward momentum at a road junction, they will say stop. We say give way. How pompous is that?
Well, yes, okay. Yeah. But I'm not. I still think that mine should go on the list.
Right, all 260 million people.
Yes.
Right, okay. I can't edit the list. I'm going to have to write it down. All right.
All right.
Cheers, my dear.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
0845 6060 973. So, creating America. Well, I'm not happy about that, but I'm forced to write it down. It's nothing to do with me. 8:16. LBC Travel with Maggie Doyle.
Well, starting off on the...
I really like you. Do you like me?
Well, how would you like to be a member of the LBC 97.3 Film Club with Cineworld Cinemas and see the best films first and for free? This month's movie, The Bank Job, a highly charged thriller based on a true story about an unsolved robbery which has links to the royal family. Jason Statham and Saffron Burrows are in it. For your chance to see this film and others, go to the website, which is lbc.co.uk, sign up to the VIP Club, the LBC 97.3 Film Club, with Cineworld Cinemas, and it's lbc.co.uk. Let's have Pimlico, Poshest Pimlico. Hello, Bob.
Oh, Nick, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Oh, good. My thanks for your list.
Yeah, Britain's greatest mistake.
The restoration of the monarchy.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Don't you like the Queen?
No, she lives too near me. They're bloody nuisance as neighbours.
Explain that, Bob.
Well, every time they go out, they hold up the traffic for them and stuff like that.
It's not like all-night partying over at Madge's place.
No, not really. And I would like us to be as civilised as what the French are as well, so getting rid of the monarchy might be a good idea. I don't want to guillotine them.
No.
I just want her to retire peacefully to the Isle of Wight.
Right. Okay. Restoration of the monarchy. I've written it down. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Cheers, Nick.
0845 6060 973. Some of these I'm very unhappy with, but, it's not my show, so I'm forced to write it down. It ain't nothing to do with me. Let's have... I've got a full board of all of people that he's going to call back, but he hasn't called anybody back yet. What, you on strike?
Got a headache.
Really? Please, tell me more.
Stop whining.
Surbiton. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Nick.
Paul.
Can I do two?
Yeah, of course.
Thanks. One more serious and one less. I think building a ship and claiming to the world that was invincible, which promptly sunk on its first voyage.
Yeah, calling a ship invincible, yes.
Which they did. Yeah, this is unsinkable. That was a word used about the Titanic. What happened on its first voyage, we all know.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, promoting Victoria Beckham as some kind of British icon.
Yeah, what is that? I'm very suspicious about that, because The Sun is not known for its friendly treatment of people in the public eye. They rip them apart. And that has not happened to Posh Spice. And her face is in that newspaper on virtually a daily basis for no good reason at all. Other than she's just bought a new dress, or she's just got a haircut, or here she is in a pair of sunglasses, or here's Posh Spice putting one foot in front of the other. And so I've always been a bit curious about that, because it seemed to be a sea change in their coverage of her. One day it was she's like a stick-thin, skeletal, freaky bird who can't sing very well, and then the next she's a fashion plate, and she's just the most fascinating person on the planet.
Weird.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's some sort of symbiotic relationship there.
Possibly.
Whether she's maybe signed a book deal with... Is it Simon & Schuster, who are the Murdoch-owned publishers?
One
of the big ones.
Yeah, could well be, Nick. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, it could be.
She also has a tremendous agent who also owns David Beckham, and so they might be they might have made a deal. I wonder if that's true. All right, so it was promoting Posh Spice and calling a ship invincible.
Well, unsinkable, whichever word you want to use. They definitely used that word when they launched it.
Yeah, and we all know what happened in the end. Yeah, some old bird threw a giant precious stone off the back of a ship.
Indeed.
What did she do that for? Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thanks, Nick.
0845 6060 973. And everyone was sobbing at the end. Me too. If they play sad music during a coffee commercial, I'll break out in tears. It's the manly thing to do. You want to try it sometime, Raj? Watford. Chino.
Hello.
Hey, Chino.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good.
What a great name.
Yeah, it's my nickname. It's my pet name.
Oh, right.
Chino.
Is it because you wear...
No, not at all. Can we not do this? Because I've done this with about 3 other LBC presenters.
No, I really want to know.
Well, my real name is Shaheen.
Yeah, I don't care.
And my parents just call me Chino.
Insisting on doing it now.
Yeah, okay. Anyway. Yeah. I think all things American definitely should be on the list.
Oh, come on.
Yes. Including fast food and allowing our children to use the word like. As every other word is like, isn't it? He was like, and I was like, and it was kind of like, and we shouldn't be allowed to speak like that. Right. That's the first thing.
Okay.
And then Cherie Blair's mouth should be on the list.
Well, I think that's a bit harsh on Britain. It's not exactly Britain's mistake.
It is. Listen, you vote somebody into office, and then you see what his wife looks like. Before you let her open the door to take flowers in front of journalists, you get her face fixed. I mean, permanently fixed. She let us down, didn't she? Then she travelled the world with that face.
Well, it's not it's her face in the smiling position that's upsetting.
And her father's.
And her father's?
Yeah, he's an actor, isn't he? They've got the same mouth.
Oh, the Alf Garnett bloke.
Who? Was he in that?
Her dad, yeah, he used to be the young one in Alf Garnett. He
was in that Channel 5 soap, wasn't he? Family Affairs, he was in that.
I've never heard of that.
He just constantly looked like he was grimacing or constipated or... It's such an unfortunate mouth, but they've both got it.
Right.
I think it should be on the list. It's a cavernous mouth. Takes up half of Britain on its own.
Every time she smiles, I feel like posting a letter.
That's right. A parcel, Nick.
You're very cruel. Now, I was being polite, but then you just went just slightly too far.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Chino.
Thanks, Nick.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
I wonder why she's called Chino. 0845 6060 973. These are Britain's greatest mistakes, because the Times is doing this, apparently. I've come to find out about a week too late. And they're asking their readership to go online. And their readership's saying, online? What's that then? Like that. That's rather unfair, I know. But it just occurred to me. Britain's greatest mistake. So far, the demise of the Routemaster bus, that's mine. The T-tax on the Yanks, without which we could be a lot richer right now. Brains faggots. Capitulation to Europe. Now, these aren't mine, you understand. I'm just having to write them down as they come in. Ken Livingstone. Well, I think we should clarify that. Ken Livingstone as mayor. And the amount of people who call in, oh, Ken this, oh, Ken that. I mean, the man has got to be one of the most popular, by dint of being voted in time and time again, official in the world. I mean, can you think of any other official who relies on the public vote that has been voted in quite so many times? And you try and find somebody who says that they like him, and there's nobody there. But I think this is one of these things where it's kind of like Maggie Thatcher. In your youth, Maggie Thatcher was a tremendously successful politician, because she got voted in again and again and again. And only the evil men in grey kicked her out. The public didn't kick her out. But you try and find somebody who said that they voted for Maggie, and everyone's got their hands in their pockets. But they did, in great numbers. So anyway, we'll continue to do this and see if we can't winkle the truth out of you. I want you to look up winkle, see if I used it right. This is LBC. So I'll continue with this until we get, bored and drift off and do something else. It's Britain's greatest mistakes, 0845 6060 973. Pick up the phone and give us a dial. This is LBC 97.3. It's 8:30.
56060
And I can't stand him.
The weekend is practically upon us. There's a couple of shows to watch, or listen out for, to be more accurate. Jenny Eclair is going to be on Saturday morning from 11 o'clock. She'll be talking to Richard Herring, the comedian, talking about his new tour. And former Birds of a Feather star, Peter Polycarpou. Which one was that? Peter Polycarpou. Peter Polycarpou. I just like saying that name over and over. Peter Polycarpou. Peter Polycarpou. Peter Pecked a Pickle Peckle... I can normally say that. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper, where's the peck of pickled pepper Peter Piper picked? Whoa! Now try red lorry, yellow lorry. Steve Allen, by the way, is going to be in conversation with the G4 lead singer, or for the former G4 lead singer, Jonathan Ansell. I think that Steve Allen is a really good interviewer, and he's going to be chatting to him on Saturday night at 9, and then again on Sunday morning at 7 o'clock. Just a couple of things that are happening this weekend on LBC. More immediately than that, though, Camberley. Hello, Tony.
Hi, Nick. How you doing? All right.
Yes, good, thanks.
I reckon the biggest mistake that people have done is voting Labour in, because of the lies they said to get themselves in there, and they haven't actually done anything for the country since they've been in.
Well,
that's the biggest mistake.
Something of a sweeping statement, Tony, but as I say, I can't edit these, I'll just have to write them down.
Yeah.
Voting Labour. All right. Thanks. 0845 6060 973. Britain's greatest mistake. I think after 9 o'clock we'll talk about something else. We'll compile this list, and then we'll award a major prize to the winner, and then we'll move on. Canary Wharf. Hello, Don.
Hello.
Don.
I know you're probably looking for things slightly more historical, but the thing that sticks in my mind is a our beloved current Prime Minister, Gordon Brown, selling off the nation's gold reserves at the lowest price in recent history. Well, in the last 30 years' history.
What, Captain Prudence, you mean?
I'm sorry?
Dear Prudence, selling off the gold reserves, yes.
He sold it at the wrong time, but not only did he sell it at the wrong time, he told the market he was going to sell it before he even sold it.
Thereby knocking 10% off the price instantly. You're right.
Precisely.
Yeah. And this is the man who claims to be an economic...
Guru.
Well, all right, guru. I was going to say genius. One of those G words.
Well, yeah.
All right, Gordon Brown's selling off all our gold. Basically, the family silver.
Basically, yeah. I mean, people are complaining about the cost of Northern Rock at the moment, but the amount of money he lost us or cost
peanuts in comparison. You're right. And I thought I was the only person who was. You're the second person I've ever heard say it on the radio. I was the first. Everyone seems to ignore that. They just as though it never happened. Yeah. All right. Thanks very much, Don. I've written it down. Cheers, mate.
No problem.
0845 6060 973. Britain's greatest mistake. Now we've got a list going. It can be historical. It can be hysterical. Whichever you like. I'm having to wait because he's being really bloomin' slow. Oh. Hurry up, mate. I'll whistle, shall I? I'll just punch them up off the board. Norbury. A mobile. Yellow.
Hello, is that LBC?
Yes, it is. You're on the air.
I had a query about, you know, sometimes when planes are unable to take off because of fog.
I'll put you on hold. Never take them right off the board. But that was an interesting point. I've got no idea what he was going to say, but I'll talk about that for a second anyway. Yesterday, City Airport was all shut down because of a little light fog. How insane is that? I thought that planes could take off and land in a complete blackout. Well, I don't think it. I know it. They've got all manner of technology on there. Built in it is. It's not like it doesn't come as extras. It's not an optional extra like a heated steering wheel. They build them like that. So how come they couldn't take off in fog? I mean, the pilot doesn't have to stick his head out the window and see where he's going. He's got machines to do that. I thought that was ridiculous. I mean, what year are we in? 2005. To be stuck sitting on the ground just because of a little light fog, that seems crazy. What kind of a third world backward country is this? Anyway, that's by the by. Northwood. Hello, Carl.
Hello.
Carl.
Well, our biggest mistake surely is teaching the world our sports. We gave the world football, rugby, tennis, and then we basically got beaten by everybody at it.
Yes. Did we invent bowls?
I think we did, didn't we, as well?
Are we among the world's best at bowls?
Oh God, is that the best we've got?
Well, yeah, I know, but we're desperate now.
We are clutching at straws here, aren't we?
Yeah, we really are, yeah. How about clutching at straws? I bet we're among the best at that.
Only until we teach the rest of the world.
That's true, yeah. All right, thanks, Carl. I'll write that down. Teaching the world our sports. That's an excellent suggestion. By the way, the run-up to the Olympics is going to be quite comical. I mean, it started already with Dwayne Chambers being given the ability to represent England again. Now, my understanding is that he is banned from competing in the Olympics for life. And I bet that there's work behind the scenes to try and get that overturned. Because if you look at our the great history of British sporting excellence, it would take you about 10 seconds. And we're going to lose embarrassingly when the Olympics comes around again. So to the point that we've started to recruit people who aren't even British. Isn't it true that a little while ago they had some Eastern Europeans in whose great-great-great-grandfather once visited here and, you know, engaged in heavy petting? and by dint of the swapping of saliva, 100 years later, we can claim that they're British, but only because they're great at wrestling. I think it was wrestling, wasn't it? Because basically, we're rubbish at everything. Everything that involves physical activity, we can't do. For some bizarre reason, I don't know why. I mean, why should Australia be so much better than we are at everything. Isn't that embarrassing? I mean, how many Australians are there? There's like 20 million. You could fit all of the Australians in London. In fact, that's actually happened. Go to any bar in the West End, they're Australian. But yeah, that mystifies me. I mean, I know that if you look at British people, we are physically unimpressive. I think inbreeding has got a lot to do with it. Stuck on this tiny little island, unable to get off it, previous to the 1950s, when cheap air travel came in. Doing it to each other we were. No wonder we look like this. I mean, look at me! Barnes. Hello, James.
Oh, hello, Nick.
James.
Yeah. Well, I was just enjoying all that. Well, now then, I've got a serious one. Then how about Macmillan's Wind of Change for a mistake?
Go on.
Well, I mean, we rapidly abandoned all the Africa and all the colonies and left them all rather like adolescent children screaming to leave school early. And with the result that... the result is... Well, we see the result.
Well, yeah. Day after day we see it.
Yeah.
If only they had a stern British rule, eh? Because that's worked so well on our streets.
Well, it used to. It used to. Yeah. It used to work. But we lost our backbone, you see.
So abandoning the colonies.
Yes.
Right.
And also stiff collars.
Stiff collars.
Yep.
Which went hand in hand, really. Didn't it?
Absolutely. When we started not wearing stiff collars, that's when our discipline started to slip.
We metaphorically and physically slouched.
You have it in a nutshell. You put it so succinctly. I wish I could have your quickness of wit.
Me too. That last one was written down.
Was it? Oh.
Thanks a lot, James.
Thank you, Nick.
0845 6060 973. We've got quite a list going now, most of which I don't agree with. But as I say, it's not my list, it's yours. I am merely your interlocutor. I want you to look that up and see if I used it right. I'm serious. I want you to Google me. Do it. I bet you can't spell it. Let me just check.
What?
Lock. L-O-C... lock, U-U-T-O-R. Oh, I bet that's right. Interlocutor. Wikipedia.
Spell it right.
No, dictionary, not Wikipedia.
Right.
Don't look up anything on Wikipedia. What, you crazy? Dictionary definition. Speaker in conversation. Interpreter. There you go. Interpreter. I did it right again. It's wearying being right about everything all the time. You can only imagine, Raj. Here is Islington. Hello, Justin.
Good evening. How you doing?
All right, thanks.
Okay, yeah, I was just driving home on my motorbike, listening to it all, and I hear a bit of Ken bashing and Labour bashing. I'm a Ken voter and a Labour voter. I'd just like to throw in the mix the selling off of all the government-owned council houses.
Why? Selling off of council houses?
Well, these days, everyone's complaining that they can't get a council house, and they were our heritage, you know? So they sold them all off, and no one can get a house anymore who needs to be in that situation.
I'm not sure that's true. Is that true? Well, no one can get a house who needs one?
Well, no one can get a council house these days.
Right.
If I know one of my mates, 17 years he's been on the list.
Huh. Okay, all right. Well, as I say, it's not my list. I'm going to have to write down whatever suggestions come in, whether they be daft or sensible. Selling off the council houses. Thanks very much, Justin.
Yes, mate. Good night.
Wow. Great. Did you hear that? Tremendous. It sounded like a 50cc. Little Susie. Me. Here's, Bermondsey. Hello, Peter.
Good evening, Nick. Yeah,
Peter.
I know you don't like to get too heavy.
No.
You're trying to make it light-hearted. Yeah, I think really, quite particularly for England, the worst thing that ever happened to the country was the Labour Party getting voted in after the Second World War, because most of the things they augmented, such as nationalisation, was a disaster. Liberal penal reform, none of it's been rescinded because Lawyers make loads of money out of it. And it's been an absolute disaster generally. And every time they get in, we've got this thing with Mr. Brown being so brilliant with economics and that, and all the banks have been allowed to loan money all over the world, and it's all coming home to roost, and he's borrowed umpteen £billion on the world markets. So, really, I do honestly think that, particularly for the English, the Labour Party have been an absolute disaster.
I'll put nationalisation post-Second World War. How's that?
Absolutely.
All right.
Nick, can I just say about, you a bit derisory about the death penalty not being a deterrent.
Yes.
Well, it most definitely was, because if you can go back 50 years and check up on the murders, the highest murder rate was always in Glasgow, and it still is, and it was always under the knife. It's well known that the Crays and the Richardsons and the big gangs, when you had the death penalty, they never killed anybody. Then there was a Labour MP called Mr. Sidney Silverman, who he was paranoid over dispensing with the death penalty, and I think he eventually got it through Parliament in the 60s, and it made his day because a little while later he died. And if you just look at the way we are at the moment, and 50 years ago, 9 out of 10 murders were family, okay? They weren't through gain or killing for pleasure.
I'm sure that's still the case.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. If you look at most murders today, they are through gain, robbery, whatever. Somebody's got in the way, all this drug dealing. You can take somebody out, you can employ somebody from abroad to take somebody out, they disappear. It really does come down, and tragically, nobody has got the nerve in Parliament to go back to a draconian legal system at all.
No, we could talk about this until we're blue in the face, but you're absolutely right there. No one ever will.
No.
Peter, I've got to go. Thanks a lot, mate.
Okay, mate.
Cheers.
Bye.
And and we can debate this over and over again, but I'm still convinced that it's not a deterrent, because while you're committing the crime, you're not thinking of being caught. I mean, look at America. They've got the death penalty over there. No end of murders there. I mean, you're lucky to walk from your house to your car without getting shot. I exaggerate for effect. 0845 6060 973 846. LBC Travel with Maggie Doyle.
Well, starting off...
I'm listening, dear. You can talk to me.
So this list that I'm constructing of Britain's greatest mistakes, some are just plain silly, and some might have something, and some are very contentious. I want you to look up the word contentious. No, don't bother. And it's 0845 6060 973. After the news at 9 o'clock, I want to talk about something else. So if you have anything for this list, then you're going to have to get in relatively quickly. You've got 10 minutes. And remember that there is a major prize for the winner. I lied about that. Here is Barnes. Hello, Les.
Yeah, hi, Nick.
Les.
Les here, how you doing? Listen, I'm taking a call on this thing about America and New York. I was walking around there in Christmas time, very nicely, thank you very much. Didn't worry about cabs. And the police were present in every single corner of every single street in every part of New York, 24/7. Zero tolerance, and I mean zero tolerance.
Right.
Now, we've got to, if we're going to tackle this problem of violence on our streets in UK, we've got to go down that road, zero tolerance. There are yobs hanging around every street corner looking to mug, create problems, stab, and berate our normal citizens. If we had zero tolerance, as like the New York police have now done, we wouldn't have the problems. However, you're always still going to get murders. You're always going to get it. You can't get rid of it, no matter what you do. Death penalties or no death penalties. But you would reduce at least thugs and vandalism on the streets of our normal streets. And the normal people would love that.
Well, yeah, you know what? It's what they call petty crime. It's not petty, really, if you're living with it. It's life-ruining crime, is what it is.
Damn right it's life-ruining crime. I'm very lucky I live in an area where there's no crime whatsoever.
Barnes, oh, it must be a delight.
None at all. Absolutely none at all. I don't actually live there. I'm just coming from there. I live in Bexley, and there's no crime there whatsoever. We have no thugs. We have no problems. Our policemen are always on the streets, if you like, cleaning up we have a few burglaries now and again. And I mean, seriously, now and again. But 2 minutes down the road, we have major problems with thuggery and criminals. Why?
So is this sort of off topic, or do you have, or is this a suggestion for this list?
No, it is off topic.
Oh, okay, right.
I'm just taking to the thing about you can't walk around New York or America, you said, without getting killed or murdered.
Right, well, I was being silly.
I know, you can. No, I wouldn't say that.
No, I was just being silly.
You can walk around in New York, you can walk around there. The police are on the streets 24/7.
Yeah, I went to New York first in 1978, and this was before the zero tolerance thing came in.
Did you find it dangerous?
Oh, it was... Well, you find things that are dangerous if something dangerous happens to you. I didn't have anything happen to me, but...
Did you feel?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There was the sort of blanket of edginess, of excitement. It felt like an electric charge was running through you all the time. It was thrilling, but...
What? Excuse me?
Go on.
Thrilling to be frightened?
Well, yeah.
Threatened?
Well, thrilling in the proper sense of the word. It was.
That can't be right, surely.
Yeah, I want you to look thrilling up.
Can you correct that word, surely?
Well,
it can't be thrilling to be threatened, surely.
Well, let's check thrilling. I'm sure that I used it right in one of its senses, but I'll change it. But until we confirm it, Les, I'll change that word.
Mm-hmm.
It was energising.
I wouldn't feel energised being threatened. Come on, let's have some better words. Come on.
It was,
threatening and
it was,
not very pleasant.
Exciting.
Can't be exciting to be threatened.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, if you were being chased by a lion, would you be bored or excited?
No, I'd be bloody scared.
Right.
Right,
okay.
Come on, let's have the right words.
It was, I'm sure I used it right. Oi, I want you to look up thrilling. He's sitting there with his headphones off, having a fag.
I'm damn right I'll have a fag.
Anyway, I agree with you. And then I went back, subsequently, after everything had changed, and it was much more boring, I think is the word I'm looking for.
Can't be boring, I enjoyed it.
God, everything I say, he's got a finger of complaint in the air.
Freedom. Wonderful. Walking back from Times Square.
Yeah.
Back to my hotel with my wife. Freedom. No thugs.
You know, I stayed in a hotel in New York, and it was on the border of what they call Alphabet City, where the streets, the go up and down, start to not be numbers, they start to be letters, where you get near the edge of Manhattan. And that time was... very dangerous. You didn't want to be on any street that which had a letter. It was like a street or road, or I can't really remember exactly.
Yeah,
but anyway, the guy in the hotel said, when you come out, turn right. Don't turn left. Only turn right. By turning left, I would probably have not been back to pay my bill.
Yeah, we turn left in the Bronx and turn right, you're going to Madison City. There's better gods, I know. Yeah.
Here, thrilling, causing a surge of emotion or excitement.
Well, anyway, what I'm saying is, zero tolerance is the only way to be, Nick. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Les.
Yeah, bye.
Cheers, mate. Ta-da. So I was absolutely right. To be right in every respect about everything. You wouldn't imagine what it's like, Raj. It's a burden. Honest. Hampstead. Hello, George.
Nick.
George.
Was invigorating the word you were looking for.
Oh, no, he would have probably had a complaint about that too.
Would he? I have one to add to your list, if I could. May the 1st, 1961.
Yeah.
Harold
was a
Macmillan
very
government
good year.
legalised gambling.
Legalised gambling?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
May the 1st, 1961.
Legalisation of gambling.
Changed the whole society. I believe.
Well, OK, I've written it down. Nothing I can do about that. I'll have to write them down as they come in. Some chap is suing, is it Ladbrokes or some... William Hill, right.
Over 2 million quid. He could win his case. It'll be interesting.
I just think the whole thing is bizarre.
Well, he did ask them not to allow him to bet anymore, and they allowed him to bet. and they were irresponsible in by that side of things. It's going to be a very interesting court case, I would think.
Now, this is just going to be, this isn't going to be a jury thing, is it? Of course not. It's going to be, he's just suing them, right? So we can go ahead and talk about it, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it just seems crazy, because if first he says, don't serve me, and then he subsequently presents himself to be served, then then subsequently he is countermanding his previous request, right? I mean, if I say, oh no, I don't want a cup of tea, and then 10 minutes later say, actually, I do want a cup of tea, would you say, no, I'm not going to give you a cup of tea because at some point in the past you said you don't want a cup of tea? No, of course not. You take what I last said, yes?
Not really, because once he's clarified that he has a problem, he is an addict and he needs help, and that help includes not being allowed to bet with William here, as they shouldn't have allowed him to bet with them.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what are they going to do? Post a picture of his face in every William Hill in the country? I think I should be a judge. I'll start meting out some justice.
Well, I mean, his big wager was £337,000 on America winning the Ryder Cup at golf. I think that wouldn't have been him walking into a shop with $337,000.
Well, I suppose not, no. Did they win?
No.
All right. Of course, shouldn't laugh. Listen, thanks a lot, George. Okay. I've added it to the list, and we'll feed it to the computer, and the calculations will be made. Isn't this exciting? Well, this is LBC.
This weekend.
This is LBC 97.3.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
Let's have a call from Chatham, from Mark. Mark.
Oh, hello, Nick. Thanks for taking the call.
You're welcome.
Your deadline.
You what, sorry?
Well, your deadline for the worst things that we've ever done as a people.
Go ahead.
I've got two. I wonder if you could help me with. I'm not sure, but they're both awful. One is the way that we actually... I'm not sure many people understand this, but we actually privatise our money supply. And it means that anything that you or I create, or, someone creates a mobile phone and creates some new value in the world, instead of it being our government that creates money for us to use to buy and sell that new added value, it all goes to private people who are actually not audited, they're hidden in secret, and they can dump tons of pounds or dollars, whatever they want, on unsuspecting countries, e.g. Iraq, extract all their gold, do whatever they want, it would seem, because we allow them to, by having, given up that amazing... I mean, I think when anyone looks at the paper, I'm not sure if you'd agree, Nick, but when you look at that paper in your pocket and it shows the Queen, yeah?
Oh, I haven't got any, mate.
You haven't got any paper money?
No, not in my pockets, no. I live by change.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
do you work in the city? Are you a money man?
I have brushed against these.
Right, because I would imagine a lot of people listening to this have got no idea what you're talking about.
Well, when it says, pay the bearer on demand the sum of £20, and you think, well, what is that? Even as a kid, did you not ever wonder? I used to wonder.
Well, it used to be that we had the gold equal to the amount of paper money that was in circulation.
Right.
But we ain't got that no more.
No.
Because guess who sold it off? That's right.
Finally. But it was actually dwindling for a long, long time. For many hundreds of years now, they've had what they call fractional banking, fractional reserve banking.
Oh, it's my favourite type of reserve banking.
Well, it just means that if you had a tenner in your pocket, you could lend out 100 quid, 10 times as much. Because you know that all those people won't come back wanting that tenner.
Well, see, now that's how the Northern Rock got itself into trouble.
Yes, they've kind of been connected well enough, I mean, I was watching this programme the other day, Britain's Richest People, and they go on about these celebrities with a few $100 million.
There was this programme on BBC Two about how the rich spend their money. The Money programme.
No, I'm not sure it was that one. It was a sort of hour-long feature on, who are the richest people in Britain.
Right.
So you've got these sort of celebrities like Paul McCartney, etc., a few $100 million.
Mm-hmm. A lot of dead Russians, yeah.
Yes, then they climbs up to the Russians. And then various other business people, and then this Indian man whose name...
Lakshmi Mittal.
Yes, exactly, and he's got about 25 billion. And And then we sort of look across, because we've had it shoved in our face, haven't we, how Bill Gates is about 50 billion.
Yeah.
Well,
Lakshmi Mittal, by the way, was in the paper just, today.
Was he?
Britain's richest man he is, and he paid himself, guess how much?
How much?
£393 million as a dividend from his company, safe in the knowledge that as a non-dom, he will not pay tax on it here.
What?
That's right. Yeah. But he does live here. He's not domestic. He is domestic. He's got a house in Hampstead. In fact, he owns Hampstead.
Yeah. I learned the way that worked. You know, all these tricks. I mean, Rupert Murdoch pays 1.47% personal tax, and the way you do that is by learning all these tricks like non-dom, you can be here 90 days, but the day in and day out are additional. So you could fly in at, say, 12:01 on day 1, stay the whole of day 2, and then fly out at 11:59 on day 3. And so you've got 3 days, but you've only used up one of your non-dom days.
Well, this was one of the things that Gordon Brown either was going to or did change, that the travelling days are included.
Oh,
but anyway, that's neither here. Excuse me, that's neither here nor there. The thing that irritates me is that people like, it's all the rich people, the millionaires and the billionaires who aren't paying any tax, and it's all the poor people sitting at home watching Trisha all day. They're not paying any tax either. Mark, it's just dopes like you and me, the ones in the middle, that we're the ones propping up this house of cards.
Mm. Well, I think that's right according to the way the system's structured, because tax is there to control you, or me, and, for example, all my income tax goes straight towards paying for the money that my government had to buy from this private bank that I was talking about.
Right.
So instead of my government creating the money that we, the people, want to use and then spending it on, hospitals and schools, etc., it actually goes out and buys that money with the Queen's head on it, from the Bank of England. The Bank of England is a private limited company. That's what really shocked me when I found out.
Is it?
Yeah.
A private limited company?
Absolutely. It's 75% owned privately. And, in fact, there's a very famous story about...
By who?
Well, this is the interesting thing. The original shareholders, it was £8 million. Our government put in £2 million. That's 25%. And then these other three lumps were supposed to come from unknown shareholders who act by proxy. You know, like at an auction where there's someone on the phone, you know who the buyer is.
Mm-hmm.
But they're there. So... and what they cleverly did is they waited until the bank got its charter, and this is way back in 1670, in fact 43 they started first. They lost it a few times because people really thought it was a con. And then in 1673 they finally got it up and running. I mean, sort of interesting the way they used Cromwell in 1642. Do you remember? He came on board. I think someone mentioned that earlier, Cromwell. And in 1643 they start this private bank to pay for that huge war. And it's the first time they managed to persuade our government to go out and buy money from private people. Because, hey, you can just, like Abraham Lincoln, you can just sit there and print it yourself. You're the government, for God's sake. That's what the people think you're doing.
Yeah, but you can't do that, because then, you end up printing £1 million notes like they did in Germany.
Well, as in fact Mr. Greenspan came on, I don't know if you know The Daily Show, Jon Stewart, he came on and made that same argument, which has been used for thousands of years. They come up to the government in quiet, in secret, and they say, you're rubbish. Don't print money. You'll always get it wrong. Let us do it. We're the professionals. So basically, because the wolf knows a lot about sheep, we've allowed the wolf to take over guarding the sheep instead of the shepherd.
And it was all done on Dear Prudence's watch.
Dear Prudence, yeah, I wish she'd been there.
This has been it's been something of an education, Mark, which is a first for this show.
I do apologise.
No, that's all right.
But you haven't helped me decide. You see, the point is it that because that leads to all kinds of things, how we just don't have visibility, we're getting creamed to death by tax. It's taken a while.
Yeah.
But these chickens are coming home to roost.
And chickens.
Well, it's the wrong analogy, but, all my income tax goes towards paying that debt to that private bank, which I never should have incurred. Our government should have never...
It's about 40 billion now, isn't it?
It's getting astronomically huge. And they hide, apparently. I've seen articles where it's apparently 3 times as big as they say, and it's all...
Really? Well, isn't that always the way? Yeah. So it's a choice between that and...
Well, and allowing secret societies, because, we have official laws where... I mean, the lady complaining about the EU, and you think, well, we've never had a vote on the EU. We were never asked if we wanted to join.
No, nor will we be.
No, and indeed, it was all decided in 1948 at the Treaty of Rome when they inaugurated all this. It's just they don't tell us, plebs, about what their plans are. And we don't bother to care about enough about finding out. So
we shrug our shoulders and go, oh, well, mustn't grumble.
Well, they've got a lovely smile, haven't they? And they're very slick.
Oh, I don't know. A Gordon's smile. Not so lovely.
Well, yeah, but we didn't... I mean, they gave us Blair's smile to choose about.
Oh, well, yeah. He has a super smile.
Yeah, you see, so
people burst into spontaneous applause when he smiles.
Yeah, they wheel out the charisma guys when we actually have a vague sort of... It's like a paper-thin veneer of democracy on top of the establishment, or whatever.
A thin slick of it, yes.
Yeah, just enough to keep us happy and demented.
Yeah, well, you got to have a laugh, though, ain't you?
You got to try, unless you're Pope John II. He tried to actually, as far as I know, the only guy who ever tried to banish one of these secret societies, because, we've got laws against, like, the presidents of countries meeting each other in secret. They've got to tell us what their agenda is and the minutes of their meetings, and what they sort of came up with. But every year there are these secret societies. They meet, hundreds of them congregate, and then you get these sort of almost like suicide journalists that go in there and get arrested and hassled to tell us about all these weird...
And then Tom Hanks comes in and tries to get to the bottom of it. Yeah, I've seen that film, yeah.
Yeah, and then, of course, everyone just ridicules Tom Hanks or whoever, and rather than actually thinking, well, hang on, what is the Council of 300? What are the Bilderbergers? Who are the Illuminati? Why is George Bush sitting there worshipping a huge red owl thing with like a big, and then loads of sort of Ku Klux Klan people standing around? What on earth is going on with these people? But it just all gets conveniently buried. Because
Mark, if you were in the room, I would be offering you a secret handshake as we speak.
Oh, I know how to stand as an entry-level Mason. I'm not one, but I've learned that. So if ever it comes to that, I can get a job.
How do you stand? Or you're not supposed to say? Or you could tell me, but then you'd have to kill me.
Like George Bush and Councillor Kerry, I have to say I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Right, okay.
Which means, yes, I do belong to that society, and I'm too stupid to say no. I mean, I don't know how these people get away with these funny answers. They could have just said, no, I don't belong to the Skull and Crossbones. But no, they say, oh, I can't talk about it.
Oh, you've said too much. Best to draw a veil over it, eh? Mark, I've got to go, because here comes the travel news, but thanks very much.
Could you add one of those to your, possibly?
I can't remember what they were.
Well, privatising the money supply, or allowing secret societies.
Secret societies, there it is.
There you go. Well, thanks very much. Thank you very much for listening, Nick.
No, not at all, thank you.
Great.
Cheers, Mark, ta-ra.
Bye.
My brain hurts. Right, let's talk about, Jay Gooday next. No, I don't want to do that. No, that was illuminating. Funny I could remember what he said. 9:15. LBC Travel with Maggie Doyle.
Well,
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
I had the weirdest phone call this morning. This was, I had my porridge and my lemon tea, and I shouted at those giggling bleep holes on the BBC Breakfast News. And then I had my happy morning sit-down, during which the phone rang. Isn't that always the way? And it was just, because I didn't answer it, I just let the machine play it. And it was, when you call your mobile service and it says that you got a message, and then the woman on your mobile service, when you call it up, says, here is the message from, and then they give the number, and they say, press 1 if you want to hear it again, press 7 if you want to delete it, and blah, blah, blah. Well, this was the message that was coming in on my phone. It was an automated thing, as though I'd called it, but it had called me. I've never had that before. Is that some sort of... And, of course, hearing it as a message, you couldn't press 1 or 7 or any of these things because you weren't connected with them at the time. Is that a scam of some sort? Like, if you press a button, then you'll be automatically connected and charged. Have you ever heard of that before?
I've had those calls where you pick up and it's an automated voice.
Yeah, but this was different. This was an automatic voice asking me to, press 1 to hear the message again, and, the message envelope, whatever the hell that means, and 7 to delete, and this, that, and the other. It was like I was talking to my mobile answer machine, but it had called me. And there was no message. It was just an automated announcement that I had a message, and press, several buttons for various options, but there was no message.
Was there a few seconds of silence before that happened?
I don't know.
Because then it's likely someone called you but didn't leave a message but connected to your voicemail, and then they just hung up.
But I don't have a voicemail on my ordinary phone. Only on my... see, it wasn't my mobile that rang, it was my house phone. Let me give you the number. It's 020... And this is the Lakshmi Mittal thing. This is the non-DOMS thing, which the government is capitulating on, bravely retreating on this. Britain's richest man is £939.9 million better off today after paying himself a huge dividend from his company, safe in the knowledge that as a non-dom, he will not pay tax on it here. Indian tycoon Lakshmi Mittal, 57, is the world's 5th wealthiest man, worth more than £19 billion. But his big payout comes as the debate over the non-domiciled status of 117,000 foreigners living in Britain reaches fever pitch. These so-called non-doms, who claim their main homes in another country, pay no tax on earnings made outside Britain. From April, the Chancellor, Alistair Darling, plans to impose a 30 grand a year levy on anyone who has claimed non-dom status for 7 of the last 10 years, but has dropped a requirement for them to reveal offshore holdings. Now, this is what they're all spitting the dummy about, right? The £30,000, they're upset. I mean, they dropped 30 grand on a handbag or a bottle of wine. But they're upset at paying it to the government. Well, mind you, so would I be. But not if I'd just paid myself £393.9 million. I'd just cough it up. I'd send it round in cash. But it's their offshore holdings that's the thing, because the government wants to peek into how much they're worth. Mr. Darling was, this week, accused of a climb down as the Treasury clarified, in inverted commas, its plans, saying it didn't want to snoop on rich foreigners' financial affairs. Well, they bloomin' well snoop on ours, don't they? I think that's an absolute outrage. They stick their little noses into all of our affairs. And if we said, well, no, you better not do that, or I might leave, well, how do you think that would be received? They'd kill us. They'd go through our particulars with both hands, squeezing tightly as they go. But these people just say, oh, well, you know, if you force us to pay tax, then we'll just go. We'll go somewhere else. Well, go somewhere else then. Go live in Monaco, see how boring that gets. You'd be pulling your hair out after about 2 weeks. No, the reason that they're here is that apart from the city being like the Wild West over there, almost completely without rules and regulations, they like it here. They live in London. They love a bit of it. And it's not true that that it's trickle-down economics in Robert Reagan's favourite phrase. That's not true at all. I am not benefiting from them being here, and neither are any of you, unless you own Gucci or Prada, or you run, the Mirabelle or the Square. Fancy restaurants. That's where they throw their money. But they keep most of their cash, of course, the vast bulk of it, offshore. Never touches here. And they, and the only people that do benefit from this, from their largesse, are mostly foreign companies. You know, they go out and get a suit. It's going to be Armani and Gucci and Prada and the rest of it. So we don't get that. The shop assistants will maybe benefit, but they're not get. You know, bizarrely, those snooty shop assistants in all those posh shops, they're not paid enough to afford the clothes that they're looking down their nose at you, seeing if you can afford. Anyway, that's just a little rant about non-doms. Just thought I might get that in.
I was looking for a job once, and...
Really? That's nice.
And mistakenly, I turned up at a really fancy designer shop in jeans, trainers, unshaven, with a hat on. And I said, hello, have you got any jobs? And they just said, no.
Yeah, the plumbing's fine. Thanks, mate. The M25. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
All right, thanks.
That business of that call you got, it's when it happened to me a couple of months ago. Somebody sent a text, and it went to my landline instead of my mobile, and then BT pick it up, and then they telephone you to say that they've got a message for you.
Really?
And that's how it works. But there is a number. It always comes from, I think it's a 0845 or 0871 or something.
Yeah.
So that you can tell that it's from BT. You can phone the operator up and they'll tell you what the number is that will come up on your caller ID to confirm that it's not a scam and that it is from them.
You can call the operator and do what?
You can ask the operator, what's the telephone number that will show up on my caller ID if your text service is calling me to tell me that there's a text waiting for me.
Right, and where do you pick this text up?
And you push a button. I think it's you have to press 1 or something, don't you?
Have to press 1 what?
Well, the number 1. When it rings you back, you answer the phone and then you push 1 or something, and then it will play back the text that whoever's left you a text.
Yeah, I'm pushing 1 right now, as a matter of fact.
Are you?
Anyway.
And nothing's happening.
No, nothing this end. No.
Change the batteries.
I'll do that. Yeah, straight away.
But
All right.
Say it will keep ringing you back until you do it. That's the annoying thing about it.
Really?
So, I wish they'd leave us alone, to be honest.
Yeah,
if we
seriously.
want to talk to people, we'll phone them.
Right. Okay, thanks a lot, Stephen. I'll check it out. Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. In fact, I sit here night after night looking at that board, all these people, these calls flashing on the board, thinking, why can't you leave me alone? Isn't that right, Joan?
Oh, yes. I liked your rant. I thought that was a very good rant.
Oh, yes.
But I want to go back to what the caller was talking about the secret societies.
Yeah, well, let me just clarify that concerning that rant, I've got no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh, I think you do. I think you do, because if I agree with you, you're obviously...
Oh, well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about secret societies, and what I think should happen is that all MPs have to declare their membership of any secret society, because the moment they have to declare any financial things that might affect their judgment.
Yeah.
And I think they should equally do it for secret societies, because that actually is a much more powerful influence on...
Well, I suppose so, but then by extension, logically, they'd have to tell us who all their friends are.
Well, we would immediately know who their friends were. I mean...
People who are benefiting from their largesse.
Yeah, I mean, there's one of them that the top people in America, top people in Britain, and it doesn't matter which party they're in, they're all members of the same club. And so this is, of course, affecting our democracy. It affects how they run the country.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's because they're people. We'll never get around this. We're being run by people. That's the problem. When robots take over, then we'll really have something. Joan, I've got to go because here comes the news. Cheers, my dear. All right.
Bye-bye.
This is LBC 97.3. Just half an hour to go for this super show. If you want to join in, it's 0845 6060 973. Be a part of our secret society. Go ahead, I double dare you. 0845 6060 973. This is LBC 97.3. It's 9:30.
Me love you long time.
And I really mean that, friends, most sincerely, I really do. 0845 6060 973. Back into it. Wallington, Amelia.
Hello.
Amelia.
How are you?
I'm great, mate.
Good. I was just thinking, you know the way you said that if someone accidentally sends you a text message to your home phone?
Well, I didn't know that that's what it was, but perhaps that is what happened.
All right, if someone said, my home phone reads the text message out for you, so you don't have to ring the operator or...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they ring they say it out for you, and you can hear who it's from.
Right.
You don't have to ring any operator for it.
I just thought it was a scam, so I deleted it straight away.
Oh, no, it could be someone just sent you something by accident.
Right.
So
is it... will it cost me to find out what it is? Because that could be part of the scam.
Well, when someone says when it says it's for me, like, when it reads it out, it doesn't cost anything.
Right.
But whether it might cost you to ring up the operator and see who's it from, or...
Yeah.
That's whether... It
depends
what number it was. If it was an 0800 number, then I wouldn't really ring it back.
Right. All right. Thanks a lot, Amelia.
Okay, then, thank you.
Cheers, ta-ra.
Bye.
Finchley. Alex.
Oh, hi there.
Hey, Alex.
I want to talk about these, the non-doms.
Yeah.
Living in London.
Right.
Basically, I work in the city, and one thing I've come to understand is that London is like a very expensive prostitute, as it were, and it's opened itself up to all these people coming from abroad, many of them from third world countries, who are bringing funds desperately needed by these third world countries to the UK.
Right.
And basically what the Labour government has done is told the world, bring your money here, we'll look after it for you, and on the other hand, they use our tax money to go and help these the third world countries. So it's a kind of, I don't know.
It's a circle of life. We give the money to the dictators of third world countries in order for them to spend it on, rice and potatoes.
Yeah.
And they spend it on solid gold Rolls Royces, which they then fly over to here to park outside their giant mansions while they invest their money in the city. The great
Exactly.
Wild West that is the city, yeah.
But basically, it's pointless for anybody to give any money to any charities because it's not going to go there. It's going to get brought back to London. So just give it to the banks in London and let them enjoy
Or you
it.
could just set fire to it, yeah.
Yeah.
I've always had a sneaking suspicion that there is some truth in that. Partly, for two reasons. Partly because I am, I'll accept any conspiracy theory, but partly because I'm tight and I don't want to give any money to charity.
Yes. Well,
So, any excuse not to.
All you have to do is just look around. I mean, you've got people here from, I don't know, West African countries driving very expensive Rolls Royces and Mercs. Now, where have these funds come from? I mean,
Right.
they all say they're businessmen, but businessmen in what? It's something very sinister is going on here, and we should be a bit careful about how all these funds and all these non-doms are brought into the UK.
Well, it seems that it's the looking the other way that has fueled the growth in the city.
Yes.
Because there are so few rules compared to other major financial centres, it has fueled the growth in the square mile.
Well, there's a facade that they say they are very tight on these things.
Yeah, legal, decent, honest, and true. Because they used to wear bowler hats and that furled umbrella and the stiff upper lip and the Savile Row suit and all of that. It looks like they're honest and true.
That is
almost the complete opposite seems to be the truth.
Exactly.
All right, thanks a lot, Alex.
Pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. So this Britain's greatest mistakes. I have a list of about 25, something like that. If you would care to add to it, then I suppose I could keep it open and then finish that at just before we finish at 10 o'clock. But there are other things. It's Valentine's Day, and yesterday the Sun printed old advice for marrieds in order to keep each other happy. This is advice published in 1913, and as it was the only paper that printed it, I think it's probably okay to read this out now. This is a book called Don'ts for Husbands and a companion volume, Don'ts for Wives, published in 1913. Now they're both being reprinted. Married couples in their 20s have the highest divorce rate in Britain, is the story, and despite an army of counsellors and therapists, a vast array of self-help books and courses, they're breaking up in greater numbers than they ever have. And so, in order to try and stem that tide of misery and disaster, these books are being reprinted. First of all, Don'ts for Husbands. This is advice given to husbands about how to treat their wives. Don't try to drive your wife. You will find it much easier to lead her. Like a cow with a ring through its nose. This is advice printed in 1913. Don't scoff if your wife wants to drive the car. Don't keep up the poor little woman pose too long. A woman may like to be a plaything for a while, but the novelty soon wears off. Don't rush out of the house in such a hurry that you haven't time to kiss your wife goodbye. She will grieve over the omission all day. Where's my kiss? Don't forget to buy your wife a pair of gloves occasionally. She will always be pleased to have them. What? Gloves? I thought that gloves are the sort of thing that you have to buy yourself. Because unless you want to chop your hands off and hand them over, how will you know they fit?
They probably only came in two sizes back then, like men's and women's.
Right. Advice for wives. Don't think your husband not manly because he happens to be short and thin and not very strong. Manliness is not a pure physical quality, Raj.
I'm plenty manly, thank you.
Don't moralise by way of winning back the love that seems to be waning. Make yourself extra charming and arrange delicious dinners which include all your husband's favourite dishes. Or, Alex, you might just make a decent cup of tea once in a while.
That's it, we're getting divorced.
Don't expect your husband to be an angel. You would get very tired of him if he were. That's what Amy Winehouse says. Don't try to dictate to your husband on any subject. He won't stand for it, and there will be trouble. How times have changed. Don't nauseate your husband with talking baby all the time. As baby's father, he will stand a good deal of it, but remember, there are other interests in the world. Don't be jealous of your husband's bachelor friends. Let him camp out with them for an occasional weekend if he wants to. He will come back all the fresher and fuller of appreciation for his home. Are you listening to this?
Where the hell are my Judy Garland records, damn it?
And finally, don't let breakfast be a snatch meal. Your husband often does the best part of his day's work on it, and the engine can't work if you don't stroke it properly.
What?
It actually says that. The stuff they could get away with in 1913.
Does it mean was there a lot more don'ts for the wife than the husband?
Well, yeah, I edited out some don'ts for husbands.
Okay.
Don't dwell on the beauty of other women if you know your wife to be sensitive on the point. There is no sense in rubbing sores, although some men seem to find a strange pleasure in it. Don't spend night after night at your club, leaving your wife alone to count the hours until your return. Which is probably associated with the camping out with your mates. There's some more, but I'm tired of that. You can only take so much Valentine's Day, and I don't think you can do it after midday, or is that April the 1st?
That's April Fool's.
0845 6060 973. I've got this list. I'll do that. I'll conclude it, and the winner will be announced just before the news at 10 o'clock. Oh, steady my beating heart. Isn't that exciting? Can you even wait? I see you shiver with anticipation. Now, the mayoral candidates set out their vision today, and they all have suspicious likes. Likely they're alike. Suspiciously alike. There you go. I knew I'd get there in the end. So I might mention some of this as I come back, because I've made my decision. Have you made yours? It's 9:44, or as near as makes no difference. LBC Travel with Maggie Doyle.
Thank you very much. Well,
Come on, we're running late!
Yes, we are. You know what? I think I'm going to leave the mayoral thing till tomorrow, because their policies statement was picked up in the Standard. I think it probably came out too late for any other paper, so there'll be more time to digest it tomorrow, and then we'll have a little chit-chat, a heated debate on tomorrow's programme about what it is that they say. And they're mostly going for green issues, you know, the congestion charge thing, hiring bikes, all of that jazz. Much of what they say, you can put a Rizzler paper between them. One thing that, I'll just mention it now, we'll probably talk in more detail about this tomorrow, but one thing that Brian Paddock, you remember that programme that the three candidates were poorly refereed by Connie Huck? late at night on ITV, when apparently no one was watching. But I'm sure on that programme, Brian Paddock stated the desire to rid the centre of London of cars, like going one louder than Ken Livingstone, not just charging you for the privilege of driving in, but banning all cars completely. At which point I thought, oh, what? This bloke's off his chump. But he seems to have done a complete about-face on that. So maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow when the various suggested policies have had more time to sink in. So if you have a last-minute suggestion for this Britain's Greatest Mistakes list, I've got about 25 or so. I've got an idea of which one I think is our biggest mistake. But I will... I'll keep that to myself until just before the end of the show. It's 0845 6060 973. The first one was mine. It was the demise of the Routemaster bus. But that's not what I think is our biggest mistake. That was just a suggestion to get us going. And then we had T-Tax on the Yanks and so on. So if there's any you'd like to add to that, then you've got about 10 minutes or so, something like that. 0845 6060 973. It's in response to a thing that the Times are doing about the biggest mistakes in Britain. This was a little more serious than the one that I have. I'll give you an idea what they have got so far. They've got the bowler hat, or rather its demise, Chamberlain and his piece of paper in 1938 which announced the appeasement of Hitler, Brian Clough never becoming manager of England, the bombing of Dresden, Thatcher, just the one word, spam fritters, Benny Hill, which is very unreasonable. I thought that Benny Hill had been rejoined polite society, so to speak. I thought he had been
brought in from the outside.
Yeah, right. There's a nice word that means that.
Unexiled.
Repatriated, yeah. But apparently not. Comprehensive schools and Stonehenge. A rather unimpressive folly, which has all fallen down. So that's what the Times came up with. We have our own little list. But as it is Valentine's week, tomorrow night's show, after I finish at 10 o'clock, we'll be talking about just that. Did you get a Valentine's card from someone from work today? If so, then you will definitely need to listen to Jim Davis with the Agony Aunt with Attitude, Karen Krzanovich, Friday evening, tomorrow, from 10 o'clock. Jim and Karen are going to be exploring sex in the workplace and looking at the fine lines between playful flirting and harassment. Now, I always used to say harassment, but then people on the B started saying harassment, in much the same way that I always used to mispronounce Uranus. You'll also be able to find out about how to maintain a professional relationship with someone you've slept with. Tomorrow on the show, Friday evening, from 10 o'clock. The Sex and Relationships show with Jim, 97.3, LB seeing you. Now, a little while ago, several years ago in fact, Gerald Ratner made a mistake about one of his products. Gerald Ratner used to run Ratner's, the jewellers, and I think he was addressing his shareholders when somebody piped up and asked how he could afford to sell jewellery. I think it was like a necklace or something like that, for the price of an M&S sandwich. And he said, in a moment of recklessness, well, that's simple, because it's crap. Cue the demise of the company he had built up all those years. Well, now, Bart Becht, the chief executive of Reckitt Benckiser, who you might not have heard of, but you will have used their products, has scored a Ratner-style own goal yesterday when he described some of the group's brand innovations as, quotes, very stupid. In an admission that recalled Gerald Ratner's remarks about his jewellery chain's products being total crap, Becht said, some are very stupid products, stupid ideas, but it doesn't matter. He said he had confidence even in the stupid ideas of his innovations team because the group conducted extensive focus group research to establish the likely appeal of innovations to shoppers. So, in other words, they almost deliberately come up with stupid things, and as long as the public claps its little hands together with a happy smile on its face, then they'll put them on the shelves and we'll buy them, like dopes. Now, this company, Reckitt Benckiser, produces Airwick. And this is, this looks like typeface of, it might be the Guardian, actually, in a rare display of humour. They've listed some of the innovations from this company that he may or may not have been describing as very stupid. I'll get to those in just a minute, but here is an addition to the Britain's Greatest Mistakes list. Just coming in under the wire. Gold is green. Hello, Jack.
How you doing, sir?
All right, thanks.
I have one for your list.
Go on, then.
Guy Fawkes being caught.
Right.
Because if he wasn't caught, we wouldn't have had 400 years of government.
It would have just been anarchy.
I can't see it being much worse.
Right, okay, well, as I said before, I'm not going to edit this list, I'm just going to write them all down, and then a winner will be declared at the end. Isn't that exciting?
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Jack.
Good night.
Cheers, ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. I think this, I feel like I've squeezed all the ideas out of this audience and they've just come up dry now. They're limping exhaustedly towards the end of the show. It's like, oh, I'm completely knackered and I've got nothing more in me. The tank is dry. They're racking their little brains and this is what we've got so far. Isn't that awful, Raj?
Yes.
All right, I'll do that in a minute. Here are some of the stupid products that he may have been referring to, the chief executive of Reckitt Benckiser. Top of the list of Reckitt products launches this year has been the Airwick Symphonia, a plug-in air freshener which uses 2 liquid refills. The innovation breakthrough, Bart Beck said yesterday, allows customers to switch between scents. He called this empowering, suggesting one scent, smelt continuously, was quickly lost on anyone. I mean, you really have to be comfortable as a society, not worrying about where the next meal is coming from, to allow for the invention of a plug-in dual smell air freshener. I mean, really. That's just quite... I mean, there are plug-in air fresheners at all. It's quite staggering. Just put your socks away. Just don't leave them there in the corner of the room. It'll smell better. Next in the product line, Finish Max in 1. This is better than the previous Finish Max dishwasher products, Becht explains, because the clear wrapper around each tablet is made from a soluble film that does not need to be removed before placed in the machine. Oh, sweet relief, because that was just the worst part of the day, wasn't it? Taking the little wrapper off your dishwasher tablet. That's ridiculous. Then there is Dettol all-in-one. I mean, I've got those, and I only bought them because they were half price. You know, you scan the line, you scan the shelves for the ones that are half price. But that's about the silliest thing I mean, yeah, top of your complaints, you have to pull the little wrapper off your dishwasher tablet. I mean, that's just pathetic. And then there's Dettol all-in-one. And you take on a well-established brand, a multi-purpose cleaner that gives a visible shine, as well as attacking germs, grease and soap scum. And a visible shine is my favourite sort of shine. What the hell kind of a shine is not visible? Then Vanish, a UK brand that has been introduced around the world with great success, now has a revolutionary spin-off containing oxy-action magnets. Oxy-action magnets. I am not making that up. A stain remover sachet that can be added to a wash to attract all the grime in your washing machine. Oxy-action magnets. I want you to write that down. Stupid innovations that the public are just sucking up, according to the chief executive of that company. A Gerald Ratner moment. And a rare showing of humour in the pages of The Guardian. Now then. This is Britain's greatest mistakes. The demise of the Routemaster bus, a tea tax on the Yanks, brains, faggots, the capitulation to Europe, Ken Livingstone as mayor, abolishing the death penalty, creating America, restoration of the monarchy, calling a ship unsinkable, promoting posh spice, voting Labour, Gordon Brown selling our gold reserves, Cherie Blair's mouth, abandoning the colonies, abandoning stiff collars, the selling off of council houses, nationalisation post-Second World War, the legalisation of gambling, secret societies, catching Guy Fawkes. But I think, and we can all agree on this, that Britain's biggest mistake, teaching the world our sports. And we've never won anything since. Well, this is the end of our Super Show, and Raj once again has been denied the opportunity to read out his little list. Perched on the edge of his seat he is. Oh, better luck tomorrow, eh? Clive is next. See you tomorrow. This is LBC.